Please don't hurt me.
Today, we'll be talking about Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, a movie that came and went and flopped. I mean, what is there to say about this movie that hasn't already been said? You know, it flopped because of its terrible marketing.
Good guess, but actually no.
To an extent, I do agree. But after watching the movie twice now, I'm actually thinking to myself, what else could they have possibly have shown that would have caught people's attention aside from everything, you know? I wouldn't say it's so much the bad marketing, it was mainly just the movie itself. Because when it comes to marketing and trailers and stuff, you can only work with what the movie is. And I think the trailers did a good job showing what the movie actually is. I will say this about the marketing though, they only released the first trailer 3 months before the movie actually came out, so no one really knew about this movie. Don't actually know what Universal's plan there was, but that plus the movie just looking boring in the trailers, there wasn't really a reason to go watch this movie. There wasn't really anything in the trailers that made people want to go see it. I get that the movie's supposed to be another stab at Disney, you know, oh, mermaids are good in Little Mermaid, but mermaids are bad in Ruby Gillman. And it's like, okay, but is the movie good though? Now, I'm all for making fun of Disney, but if that's all that the movie is for, then why would we go watch it? Now, I did film my reaction to this movie, which you can find in the description below. But I guess I'll talk about the movie a little bit. I won't be going through it beat by beat, I'll just talk about the things that I remember. Anyway, Ruby is a teenager who goes to school and she and her family are somehow able to hide their identity from humans, despite them being blue. There's also this really predictable prom plot because it wouldn't be a teenage coming of age story without one. I didn't care about it, and I guarantee you won't care about it either. How do I know? Because the movie doesn't care about it. So why should you? I will give the movie credit where it's due. They do a good job presenting who the Gillmans actually are. You know, the mom sells houses, the dad's an ASMR artist, surprisingly, and the son is a dodgeball champion. Just quick and snappy introductions, which I like. Anyway, the mum has this rule where they're not allowed into the sea because apparently going into the ocean is a no-no. And because of her mum's rules, Ruby's friends often miss out on these events.
About how many events we've missed in squad solidarity because of your mom's irrational anti-ocean rule.
Now, I don't know how they keep convincing themselves that they can't go to any of these events. Trust and believe, I'm not skipping any event for any friend. You know, if I want to go somewhere, I'm gonna go somewhere. Anyway, Ruby's friends suggest that they should actually go to prom without telling her mum. I don't know how that was gonna work, but why would they care? They're not the ones getting into trouble. With this newfound plan, Ruby decides to go ask out her crush Connor to the prom. Don't worry, he doesn't serve any major purpose after the first 10 minutes of the film. Connor discovers the confetti cannon that Ruby was hiding behind her, and then he accidentally shoots himself. And of course, through the power of love, Ruby jumps in to save him. And then she drowns. But then she suddenly turns into a giant kraken and saves him. Talk about plot armor. Ruby ends up lying to her friends and saying she has no involvement in Connor drowning. But it doesn't matter because it turns out she wasn't the one who saved him, it was
The new girl.
Now, I don't know how she took credit for that, I even said this in my reaction, but I don't even know how she was able to pretend like she was the one who did it. But you know what? Who cares? Anyway, she's everyone's love at first sight clearly because everyone is completely simping for her. Ruby notices that she's starting to transform again with everyone staring at her, which is making her feel anxious. So she runs off to a library to go calm herself down. Which she ends up destroying after turning into a full-on giant kraken in the middle of daylight for the entire world to see, including Chelsea. Anyway, the mum finds out and she starts to panic, which actually causes her to run over a random stranger, which turns out to be her brother. How convenient. She ends up finding Ruby behind what I presume to be a house and manages to calm her down. But now Ruby is actually upset because her mum has been lying to her for 15 years. We then find out that only the women of the Kraken family can turn into giant krakens. And now Ruby just starts to think that she was destined to be a monster. Which causes her to rebel against her mother's rules and make her way to the Kraken Kingdom with the help of her uncle. There she actually ends up meeting her grandmother, who is the queen of the Krakens, making Ruby royalty. We also find out that Ruby's mother actually left after she defeated the mermaids and hiding the trident. Remember guys, mermaid bad.
People love mermaids.
Of course they do. People are stupid.
That is true. Somehow Ruby was able to hide as a human for 15 years. Despite Grandma saying she wants to make Ruby her successor, Ruby suggests that she would rather stay as a human and pretend to be a teenager for the rest of her life. And Grandma agrees to let her go, confident that she'll come back. During Ruby's journey back home, she actually ends up getting captured by the sailor, the only person who was actually suspicious about the Gillmans. But when all hope seems lost, she ends up being saved by the new girl who just so happens to be
a mother flippin' mermaid!
Oh my god! Wow!
Wow, the plot thickens. Together they both escape the sailor, and even though Chelsea is happy to have someone to share her experiences with, Ruby is currently going through a lot, so she just kinda wants to go home. Throughout this movie, we don't really know what Chelsea does when she's not with Ruby, so yeah. Now, believe it or not, I don't know if you're gonna believe me, but everything that I was just talking about is half the movie. Yes, we've reached the midpoint of the movie, and it's like, really? And yes, this kind of energy that the movie is emitting currently does kind of drag until the climax, so brace yourself. Agatha feels guilty about Ruby's transformation. We also learn that she hates her mom, so I guess that's why she's worried about Ruby hating her. All the while, Ruby futilely tries to sneak out without her parents noticing.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing.
Ruby discovers that the video of her turning into a giant kraken has gone viral all over the internet, and now everywhere she turns she's constantly finding people watching the video, so she ends up running into a bathroom to calm herself down. Keep in mind, no one actually knows that the giant kraken is Ruby yet except her family, so yeah, just thought I'd let you know. She encounters Chelsea once again and apologizes for ditching her the other day. Ruby tells her that she still feels like a freak despite living here her entire life, whereas Chelsea has only been here one day and is somehow the most popular girl in school. Chelsea tells Ruby that she can aim a little bit higher than just being a normal teenager, with her being a giant kraken. And just like that, they're best friends. If I'm actually being completely honest, this is probably my favourite scene in the entire movie. I love seeing these two play off one another. I love Chelsea trying to convince Ruby that she can always aim higher. These two are actually adorable together. I ship it. And then the two go on a secret seagull ditch day. I think that's what they called it. Where Chelsea actually tells Ruby that if they were to get the trident back, these two could be as free as they want, forever. But I mean, if you've seen the trailers, then you know that's not true. The family discover the video of Ruby turning into a giant kraken and...
Uh-oh. She's got that look. The one where she wants to do something we don't want to do.
The boys end up helping the sailor find the kraken, and by help the sailor, they mean make sure he doesn't find the kraken. Because, obviously, they know that that's Ruby. Trust and believe this is just more stuff that you don't need to care about, to be honest. Chelsea shows Ruby the whereabouts of the trident, where she actually tells her that the Mermaid Queen is her mother, and she died trying to get it back. Chelsea explains that it has to be Ruby to go get it because no one else is going to do it. But in their current state of mind, that's going to be next to impossible. And then we have to go through an entire montage of Ruby learning about her powers from her grandmother and trying to get the trident over and over again, which takes course over multiple days, and somehow these guys are still at sea trying to catch this fake kraken. Also, Ruby is ignoring her friends now because she don't need them. She's got Chelsea, I guess. Ruby actually manages to get to the trident, or at least almost get to the trident, because then all of these thoughts start rushing through her mind and then she ends up failing and flying back. So she realizes that the only thing left to do is to ask her mum for advice, no matter how much she doesn't want to. And her mum is not happy about Ruby forming an alliance with the Mermaid Queen's daughter.
Watch how high I can throw my nephew! What is that?
Ta-da!
What the fuck is that?
So then the two have a little argument, and then Ruby storms off once more to go get the trident, which she actually manages to get successfully. And then the big twist happens.
Oh, there is no Chelsea. I am Nerissa.
Well, no fucking shit.
It's revealed that Chelsea is actually the villain, and in fact she's not even Chelsea, she's just straight up the Mermaid Queen Nerissa. This is actually the worst possible thing they could have done with this character, I'm not even gonna lie. So then after the big reveal and after getting the trident, she just completely buries Ruby under a pile of rocks. And then she ends up going to the surface to cause mayhem.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Scares here.
If you've seen the movie, you know that I'm kind of skipping over a couple of scenes here, but I just kind of want to talk about the bits that matter. While Agatha and her mother are fighting against Chelsea, Uncle gives Ruby a little words of inspiration which causes her to go Super Saiyan and go and help her mother and grandmother fight Chelsea. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually do like this scene. I do like the climax, it's a very cool visual battle. Anyway, Ruby realizes that they have to destroy the trident together by using their laser eyes, and they do, and then they defeat the bad guy, and Chelsea gets captured by the sailor.
Please, please. I'm not evil. I'm just pretty and misunderstood.
And now Ruby is the protector of Oceanside. And that's the movie. Wow! So going back to what I was talking about in the beginning of the film about what could they have possibly have shown in the trailers, this was it. Throughout the entirety of the movie, only the beginning and end are the most interesting bits. And what do the trailers show? Most of it is the beginning and end. Literally. When it came to making the trailers, they probably realized that there's nothing interesting in between that they wanted to put in that would catch people's attention. That's why I said there's a problem with the movie and not so much the marketing. Aside from that one poster that made it look like there was going to be an all-out war between Krakens and Mermaids, but we're not going to talk about that. In between, the movie just kind of becomes not that enjoyable. And that's an understatement. I guarantee you would either fall asleep or you'd just be sitting there bored waiting for something to happen. Another reason why I don't blame the trailers for the movie not doing well is because this movie just straight up doesn't have good word of mouth. And that's what people trust more than trailers. When a movie comes out, people would rather have good word of mouth convince them to go watch a film than trailers. That's just how it works these days, because no one wants to spend money, a lot of money, paying for a film that they're probably not going to enjoy. It was the same thing with Puss in Boots. People only went to go see it because it had really good word of mouth, and the movie turned out to be really good and successful. With Ruby Gillman, there's nothing great that you can say about it. It really is just a movie that exists. Now, I know people do enjoy this movie. I personally thought the movie was okay. I don't hate this movie, by the way. Let me just get that off my chest. I don't hate this film. But I feel like some people who were saying that the marketing is to blame for the movie's failure are kind of just denying the fact that the movie just genuinely isn't that great. That's just the vibe I get, but I could be wrong. And by some miracle, it went below my already low expectations. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people just waited for this movie to come out on streaming platforms if they did plan on watching it. And the box office shows that very well. However, let me just talk about some positives to, ease a little bit. I thought Ruby's character through this movie was actually pretty good. I liked her growth throughout the entire film. She's actually kind of relatable in a way. I mean, obviously no one in real life turned into a giant kraken, but I'm sure some people have had secrets that their parents were hiding from them, or things that they just didn't want to tell their kids. Plus, I'm sure a majority of us did feel kind of awkward in high school and stuff like that. And seeing Ruby accepting her quote-unquote weirdness throughout the movie is really good. With that being said, the reason why I wanted to talk about this film is because of its wasted potential, and there's a certain character I want to focus on in particular, which if you've seen the title and thumbnail, you know exactly who it is, and that is Chelsea. Wow! Chelsea throughout this movie, in my eyes, doesn't actually do much. She shows up, takes the credit for Ruby saving Connor, and then she has a secret Seagull ditch day with Ruby after saving her, and then after that, that's like half the movie, by the way. For the rest of the movie, until at the climax, she just kind of stands around waiting for Ruby to get the trident. And Chelsea had the potential to be probably the best character in this movie, but they did the worst possible thing they could have done with this character, which, honestly, if they were going to say that she was Nerissa's daughter, they should have just kept it like that and did nothing else. I don't know why there had to be a twist and say she was the queen. Like, who thought that was a good idea? So, what I'll be doing for the rest of this video is talking about what they could have done with Chelsea, and how much better that would have made the movie. Because let's be real, were you actually threatened by Nerissa when she turned out to be a giant mermaid? I doubt you were. In all honesty, in this fight, I actually thought that Grandma was going to die, and that would have been an emotional moment. Literally a Gohan's anger moment. Anyway, instead of me just saying what was bad, let me just talk about how they could have made it better. The obvious one being Chelsea actually being the daughter of the queen, but actually becoming best friends with Ruby. I feel like what they should have done is they should have had Chelsea potentially still be evil all have evil intentions throughout the beginning part of the movie, but perhaps over time, the two of them actually form a bond, and the two of them actually do become best friends. And then Chelsea could potentially become torn between disobeying her mother or betraying her best friend. It would have been interesting to see how she would handle that. Because in the beginning of the film, it said that people view Krakens incorrectly, like, oh, Krakens are actually the good guys, and mermaids are the bad guys. But it would have been interesting and cool to see that not all mermaids are bad, just some of them. And show how much of an impact Ruby had on Chelsea's views on Krakens. And perhaps after getting the trident, Ruby could take Chelsea to see Grandmama, which, I mean, sounds like a bad idea, but maybe Ruby was trying to reason with Grandmama, saying, oh, mermaids aren't bad, but Grandmama, someone who just wants to fight, according to Agatha, that is, not me, could potentially act hostile towards Chelsea, and that would cause Chelsea to use the trident's power to grow big, and then it would lead into the climax. Which would make the fight between Ruby and Chelsea more impactful, because, well, they're supposedly best friends. It's literally a fox and a hound situation. And they don't want to fight, but they have to fight, believing that this is what they're supposedly supposed to do. This is their destiny. And I have a sneaking suspicion that potentially the Mermaid Queen Nerissa and Grandmama would be very similar. Two leaders of rival species who just want to fight. I could actually see the mermaids and Krakens forming some kind of alliance, and that would allow Chelsea and Ruby to be best friends, and perhaps even companions when it comes to protecting the sea and the overworld. It just would have been so cool if Chelsea actually did end up becoming a friend, because after seeing the trailers, that actually would have been a twist that no one would see coming, and it actually wouldn't be a spoiler. Because in the trailers, maybe in a couple of clips, it doesn't actually show Ruby and Chelsea being best friends. But if they went with this direction, it still would have stayed true to the trailers while still surprising everyone while potentially having better word of mouth. Would it have been predictable? Fuck yeah. But it at least would have been better, because even if the story's predictable, as long as it's good, it's like, who cares? Sometimes predictable stories and simple stories are the better stories. Now, my second idea was having Chelsea actually just straight up be evil, but have it handled better, and actually have her mother stay dead. How would they do this? Well, the main idea I had was Chelsea was obviously still using Ruby to go get the trident, but the reason why she wanted the trident is to show that she is a worthy queen for her people. Perhaps Chelsea left her tribe, because it is said that she ran away, because she couldn't handle the pressure of being a leader. But after befriending Ruby, she discovers that perhaps there's a way for her to find the confidence to actually become the queen. And after getting the trident and taking out Ruby, instead of flying up to the surface, she could have swam back to her people, and then we could have had an all-out war between Krakens and mermaids. That would have been better, because that actually would have got everyone involved. Everyone is at stake here, everyone matters. What if, like, one of the humans or some of the humans were mermaids in disguise? Because as we've seen, Chelsea actually is a very convincing human. She genuinely looks like a human. So would it be totally out of the realm of possibility of someone else on the surface to be a mermaid as well? It just would have made for a very climatic battle if a lot of people were involved. It actually would have made us care about the Kraken Kingdom and the humans a little bit more, because we only see other Krakens in like one scene and that's it. You don't really get to see any of the other Krakens ever again. I'm actually surprised we didn't get to see any more of the mermaids. Especially because of that poster. But they do reference that there are other mermaids out there, they're just hiding. That would have been the perfect time for them to come out of hiding. But it's like, DreamWorks can tell good stories. DreamWorks can make good villains. It's just this one kinda missed the mark.
Shit, I don't even know, like, I can't even tell you that, like.
Despite it having so much potential, they literally did the worst possible thing they could have done with this character. As I said, just having her be the daughter was fine enough. The fact that they just made it be straight up Nerissa is... why? Granddaughter of the Kraken Queen versus the daughter of the Mermaid Queen. It would have just made sense. What are you doing? Okay. I feel like this was just a movie that Universal just wanted to get out, because I have a feeling they were not confident in this movie whatsoever. This movie only had a $70 million budget, so yeah, pretty small, and somehow it didn't even make back its money. It barely even made half of its money back, and Universal only gets half of that money, so pretty much they only get a quarter of what they spent on this movie. And that sucks. Anyway, I'm tired. Good night. Remember guys, mermaid bad.